I realized I had not done one of these in a while, so I picked one out that we read a few times this past week, one of Susanna's favorites. I'm sure she'll have a lot to say about this one. In fact, she can help read it because it's called Thomas's Snowsuit by Robert Munch and illustrated by Michael Marchenko. So chime in when you remember what part comes next. One day, Thomas's mother bought him a nice new brown snowsuit. When Thomas saw that snowsuit, he said, "That is the ugliest thing I have ever seen in my life. If you think that I'm going to wear that ugly snowsuit, you are crazy." Thomas's mother said, "We will see about that." The next day, when it was time to go to school, the mother said, "Thomas, please put on your snowsuit." And Thomas said, "No." There you go. There's all those letter N's. No. Thomas is being a bad boy. His mother jumped up and down and said, "Thomas, put on that snowsuit." And Thomas said, "No." So Thomas's mother picked up Thomas in one hand, picked up the snowsuit in the other hand, and she tried to stick them together. They had an enormous fight, and when it was done, Thomas was in his snowsuit. But what a mess. They really tore up that room, didn't they, having their fight? I know you girls would never do anything like that. Thomas went off to school and hung up his snowsuit. When it was time to go outside, all the other kids jumped into their snowsuits and ran out the door. But not Thomas. The teacher looked at Thomas and said, "Thomas, please put on your snowsuit." Thomas said, "No." The teacher jumped up and down and said, "Thomas, put on that snowsuit." And Thomas said, "No." Now, wouldn't you think Thomas would want to get his snowsuit on and go out and play with the other kids? I think Thomas is just being obstinate. That's a big word for you. So the teacher picked up Thomas in one hand, picked up the snowsuit in the other hand, and she tried to stick them together. They had, what kind of a fight? An enormous fight. And when they were done, the teacher was wearing Thomas's snowsuit, and Thomas was wearing the teacher's dress. Pretty funny, huh? Teacher's hair went a little crazy too, didn't it? Let's see if her hair looked like that before. Nope. Smooth hair, a little curly. And now, crazy hair. When the teacher saw what she was wearing, she picked up Thomas in one hand and tried to get him back into his snowsuit. They had an enormous fight. When they were done, the snowsuit and the dress were tied into a great big knot on the floor, and Thomas and the teacher were in their underclothes. Just then the door opened, and in walked the principal. The teacher said, "It's Thomas! He won't put on his snowsuit." The teacher's wearing something called a slip, which in the good old days, ladies used to wear a slip underneath their dresses. Always. A long time ago. The principal gave his very best principal look and said, "Thomas, put on your snowsuit." And Thomas said, "No." So the principal picked up Thomas in one hand, and he picked up the teacher in the other hand. I'd like to have seen that, wouldn't you? And he tried to get them back into their clothes. When he was done, the principal was wearing the teacher's dress. The teacher was wearing the principal's suit, and Thomas, he was still in his underwear. Then from far out in the playground, someone yelled, "Thomas, come and play!" Thomas ran across the room, jumped into his snowsuit, got his boots on in 2 seconds, and ran out the door. That principal looks pretty silly in the teacher's dress. even has her necklace on. The principal looked at the teacher and said, "Hey, you have on my suit. Take it off right now." The teacher said, "Oh no, you have on my dress. You take off my dress first." Well, they argued and argued and argued, but neither one wanted to change first. Finally, Thomas came in from recess. He looked at the principal. He looked at the teacher. Thomas picked up the principal in one hand. He picked up the teacher in the other hand. Could Thomas really do that? They had an enormous fight, and Thomas got everybody back into their clothes. The next day, the principal quit his job and moved to Arizona, where nobody ever wears a snowsuit. And that's the end of Thomas's snowsuit. Let's see, did I miss anything? Nope. That's it. I'm looking at a list of other Robert Munsch books here, and there's a few that I have never read. So I'm going to have to look them up. Like there's one called Murmel, Murmel, Murmel. That's a funny name. And how about a book called A Promise is a Promise? I'm going to look that up. Anyway, Happy New Year, my loves.